Hello and welcome to another audio analysis. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at the track Curse by the British metalcore band Architects. This is the band's first release of 2024. It was December when we did get to hear Seeing Red, a track which really poked fun at the haters of the band's music over the latest two albums when they did make a bit of a switch into something slightly more softer, more anthemic, and certainly something a bit more radio friendly, and Sam Carter were able to hit back with some very interesting little jabs and some very quirky lyrics on that previous track. However, for this latest one they've actually going to be working alongside Jordan Fish, formerly of Bring Me the Horizon, who did opt to co-write and produce this particular track, so it'll be very interesting to see what impact he has and whether we'll see them continue to play with different sounds by bringing him on, given his recent history with Bring Me. So will the water be cursed, or will they fish out something magical? Let's take a look at exactly how it sounds. Okay, we can really see the mixing of two sounds here, the very early Architects and certainly something a bit more recent. You can really just see the clashing of these more anthemic sounds with certainly something kind of incorporating some of those very brief lows and really some of these much harsher elements, some of the sharper guitars really coming through at certain points. And I think maybe this is what people were expecting when the band started to make that gradual shift into something a bit more anthemic and something a little bit softer. Maybe they wanted to see something more like this, and you can really see how they're blending those two ideas together in a much cleaner way than what many saw over those past two albums. And you can really see some of the elements that Jordan Fish has brought into this. You can see those little elements of Bring Me that he's kind of brought over in the production, in the way they're kind of jarring these elements in to kind of give it this much sharper sound at certain points, and really show these little creative little flicks. We see it in the vocals as well from Sam Carter, dipping into these occasional very brief lows, but then also in the chorus for these more anthemic sections, having these nice little flicks at some of the end of some of the lines just to add a little bit of flair to the track. Also on the lyrical side as well, we do see the lots of religious elements coming in, the idea of bow down to the splits in the seconds, almost like you're bowing to a god effectively. But the way I love about it, the way I love they've kind of built this track up, is it's the idea of kind of chasing that dream and putting so much time into chasing it that you begin ignoring the things going on around you. I sold myself on paradise, but I'm giving up on that ghost because it keeps me from counting the cost. So you spend so much time chasing this dream, this golden moment or something like that you don't realise what it's actually cost you in the build up to that point. It's got to the point where you've kind of missed out on all these moments I've loved and moments I've lost, bow down to the splits in the second. And I actually really love that lyric because it has this kind of interesting meaning of almost like a camera shot of that split second of capturing a certain moment, and you kind of miss out on these things because you've been so busy just trying to capture this golden paradise effectively. So I really like the way they're showing that. Did I suffer on were the nights too long? You spent all this time suffering and working away to achieve this end goal effectively, to kind of maybe get super rich or something like that, but was it worth the cost of maybe not spending time with family, things like that? So I love the way they're really showing that. When I'm dead and gone and the race is won, will everything be less complicated? So it's still got these very dark undertones as well. You could also look at the idea of just the very depressive state effectively of just kind of getting to the end of life and looking back and reflecting. So you can see lots coming through. And then on the chorus, I give you my word, in the times I've had enough, enough, I still wish for the worst. And that's actually a really interesting second lyric on this. In the times I've had enough, because it could look at that really down state. In the times where I've had enough and I'm really beaten down, I still wish for the worst things to happen. Or it could be the flip side of in the times I've had enough. So I've had a surplus of something, I've had a plentiful amount of some things. I still kind of look back at the negative things that I've had, despite having this golden moment. The idea of being as free as a bird, I'm free to do whatever I want, but the days keep crossing off. Heaven came with a curse. So that idea of kind of spending time incorrectly or unwisely, the accounting the cost. I love the way these lyrics really blend in. The idea of being, I'm frozen here, I'm paralyzed, would you pull it out of my throat? I actually really like this second verse, because in one sense it almost talks about the idea of losing people, because I'm tired of burning these boats, which I think is a great lyric, because instead of it being because I'm tired of burning these bridges, you could look at, if you're chasing fame, you kind of cut people out of your life and things like that. But with the tired of burning these boats, if you look at a lot of kind of religious elements, the idea of kind of losing family members or things like that that used to send them out on boats, the idea of like kind of like Viking burning burial effectively on the lake. So it could be that fact of you're frozen or paralyzed because you've kind of you feel the guilt of somebody passing on and not spending that time with them because you're too busy chasing your dreams. So it's definitely something we could see the band reflect on given their history as well. Praying to God that I float, bow down to the splits in a second. So kind of not living in those moments because you're so busy and focused on something else. So I really like a lot of the ambiguity we're really getting from these verses. It's really kind of leaving it open to interpretation, but we can see lots of meaning really packed in just in those first couple of verses.
Times I've had enough, I still wish for the worst, as free as a bird, but the days keep crossing off. Heaven came with a curse, I give you my word. In the times I've had enough, I still wish for the worst, as free as a bird, but the days keep crossing off. Heaven came with a curse, I won't pretend to know my end. The credits roll, I'm afraid it's the end of the earth, 'cause the days keep crossing off. Heaven came with a curse. Heaven came with a curse.
Well, what a very interesting showing from the band. You can really see the collaboration coming through in spades between the likes of Sam Carter and Jordan Fish on this, in the writing, in the production. Really got those electronic elements really being heavily brought in the background, but not feeling too overpowering to the point where they're really diving over the guitars and the drums to the core elements of what you do expect to hear on a slightly heavier Architects track. And I really like the way they felt like such a clean production and saw lots of playfulness still. It's very similar to Seeing Red, where we did actually see the band just kind of go for more playful lyrics. In this, we certainly saw them incorporating lots of things they've learnt over the years and just kind of drawing different elements from different eras of the band and then just literally just smashing them all together and just really pulling off something that worked very, very well. And I really liked a lot of the ambiguous meaning we did see coming through on the track as well, especially as we head into that bridge. You give me a conscience, I'll give you a crisis. You give me this brain to allow me to think and do all these wonderful things, but I'm going to give you a crisis. I'm going to kind of have this negative effect, this curse ultimately. So we can really see how this song can kind of reflect on the idea of not living in the moment, of kind of not counting the cost of time and the decisions you make, but also look at the very negative aspects on mental health and things like that. I'll give you a crisis, I'll give you a mental crisis, hard times, but I'd rather see this than be blinded. And we see all this idea of almost blinded by the light, blinded by the faith. We see lots of religious elements really coming in, especially the idea of heaven's curse, the idea of bowing down almost to a god effectively and kind of getting to the end end of that life and almost looking back in that reflective state. So I really like a lot of the ideas they're really bringing in this, and the idea of kind of living through those hard times. I'd rather live through the hard times than have a very easy life and be blinded by things such as greed. The idea of break down what's behind us. I love that lyric because it's the idea of reflect on the moments, be able to look back and go, I did all these wonderful things, rather than looking back and go, oh, I made loads of money, or I did something kind of like that, but I don't remember a lot of the moments and how I got here. Darkness only cares what the light does. So if you have this life lived of darkness and kind of trampling over other people, then you're not going to be able to look back and see the lighter elements of your life. So really, really seeing a lot of reflection coming through on this track. The idea of heaven coming with a curse. So sometimes to kind of achieve that light status or to live in that almost godly state, it does come with that curse of like not living in those moments. So you can really see lots of smart lyrics really coming through in the writing process for this particular track, and I really do think it's another element that's really adding to the power that's behind this track as well. It's really allowing Sam Carter to have that playfulness and allow the band to really interweave in and out of these harder and softer styles that we do see really bring in some of those anthemic moments in the chorus. And I really do think this is a track that a lot of fans are going to be able to get on board with for the way it does meld those more older and recent albums together. I certainly don't think this track will be a curse on the band's discography, but I would love to know your thoughts about this track in the comments section below. Do you agree that it's kind of nice to see them mixing these styles together, and do you think this is maybe what they should have done a couple of albums ago? Do you think this would have been a bit more successful in making that transition to trying something new? I would love to know your thoughts. Also, if you would like to see more Architects content, I have covered the previous track, Seeing Red, in a separate video, so you can find a link to that in the description of this one. And if you'd like to see more content overall like this, then please do feel free to subscribe, and I will see you in the next audio analysis.